Welcome to the Progressive Property YouTube channel. I recently did a podcast interview with a Progressive Property student, and what I thought would be valuable is to share it here on the Progressive Property YouTube channel. So I'm going to go straight over to that interview now. Hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time. I'm joined by Jennifer Roberts. Now, Jennifer is brand new to property. She's literally only doing it a few weeks, but she's already moving. So I thought it'd be really interesting to have a conversation with somebody who's completely new, rather than just people who've been doing it for a long time. So Jennifer, thank you for joining us.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
Yeah, so why property? I guess when you've been doing it for 4 weeks, what were you doing a month ago, 6 weeks ago? What was life like?
Well, see, I used to trade in financial markets, but then I recently stopped that because
Right.
I've been trading for a couple of years now. So my mum has recently sold her business and she got into commercial, and she told me about the progressive courses.
Right.
So she said there's this one that I'd really like, which is the deal packaging.
Okay.
So I decided to try it out, and I loved it. I loved it when I did it, and I think it's really good for me.
When you say you used to do trading, so what type of trading? What were you doing?
I used to trade in indices and commodities mainly. I did dabble in Forex a bit. So yeah, I used
Was
to trade
this just
on...
for yourself, or was
Yeah,
this
this was for me. This was for
Okay.
me. So I used to day trade, but I still do have long-time trades, but I'm moving off of that now. So I've
Right.
got it up to run. So it's kind of like the 70-20-10. So I've had stocks, but now that's running up. So I'm moving on to my new 70, which I'm hoping to be deal packaging.
Right, so when Jennifer speaks about 70-20-10, at Progressive we've got a model called your 70-20-10, which is 70% of your time you focus on your main thing, 20% of time on your secondary thing, and then 10% of time on your tertiary thing in your strategy. So 70% on your main strategy, 20 on your second, 10 on your third. Even if you're committing 10 hours a week to building your business, that would be 7 hours on one, 2 hours on the other, and 1 hour on the third one. So your main thing was trading?
Yes.
Okay. Was that a full-time job, or was that part-time?
No, it was full-time for me because I very much enjoyed it,
Right.
because I'm very good with numbers.
So you didn't have a day job?
Well, not really, no, because I mean it paid me enough income to
Right.
start in property now, so I'm comfortable enough to go and start acquiring property as well. So I didn't really need a day job when I was trading.
Okay, well.
So so now I've got that set up. I'm moving into property
Did
now.
you ever have a day job?
I have at some point, because obviously it looks brilliant in your CV, and work experience, as my mum always used to say.
So what used you do?
So I used to work in a jeweller's, and then I used to work in a pub as well.
Okay.
So they're two quite
Different
you know,
things. So literally,
different things,
jewelers, pubs, got into day trading.
yeah,
doing
well,
stocks.
actually, I got into the pubs and jewellers after I started trading, because I started trading very young. I started trading at 13.
Bloody hell, this
Yeah.
is really interesting. How and why would somebody at 13 years of age, I mean, when I was 13 years of age, I was down the pub playing pool. So why would somebody at 13 years of age go, I want to day trade?
Well, I was never really much of school. I was always quite good at school, but it was never really my forte. So I did my A-levels online, actually. After my GCSEs, I got out and I was trading through my GCSEs, actually. And then I moved on with my A-levels, and it worked well for me doing my A-levels online, because that meant I can day trade as well.
Right.
So now I've kind of like got to the point where I can acquire stuff, because it's perfect timing with my mum, actually. So now I'm moving into the property side of things.
I'm trying to picture you now studying for your GCSEs. Your mum shouting at you, going, "Are you doing your books?" And you're going, "Hang on, mum, I'm just getting a trade set up."
Yeah, but I mean, my school did know about it, actually. It was quite a funny time at school, really, because all the heads knew about it, and they just really wanted me to get through, because they quite liked me. They just really wanted me to get through and get my grades. But I was always sat there in an office, I used to kind of like isolate myself. So I used to kind of like sit in an office, day trading next to the head. I mean, it worked well for me, and it's something that I enjoyed doing, so.
Were you making more money than the teachers? Probably. Probably. Genius. So set up your day trading, you still do a little bit of that. Your mum had a business, so what was your mum's business?
Yeah, so she was in nurseries, so she sold the business recently but kept the properties and leased them out to the business that bought the company.
Right.
So she's now sold that and went on these courses.
Right.
So she's now moved into commercial. So she's
conversions.
Yeah, so one that she's got now that she's working on is commercial to residential in Cambridge.
Right.
So she's on the commercial side of the business now because
Yeah.
we've got Davidson Roberts Properties Limited. So I'm on the deal packaging side, so buy to lets and buy to flips. However, we are
Right.
dabbling in HMOs and SA.
And you mentioned Cambridge there, so what area are you investing in?
Me personally, I'm looking at Bedford because obviously there's a lot of good kind of like rundown areas in Bedford, so it's prime for the buy to lets and buy to flips, whereas my mum's working more in Cambridge. However, we do kind of like switch around.
Right, so in terms of you getting started in property, have you found it easy switch over from trading to property?
Well, it's something that I enjoy, so I'm willing to put in the work, but it hasn't been too hard trying to understand. I mean, the course that I went on was amazing because, you know, there's so much support there because they tell you everything you need to know, and then you can also go back and ask questions. So now I'm on the mastermind, I can go back and retake the courses. But it's been all right. I think the deal packaging is very much the same feeling from stocks, you get me? This is why I probably like the deal packaging, because you're out chasing deals and you're out kind of like, you know, so it's the same kind of idea as confirmed deals on.
How did you find Progressive?
Pause. I've got something really exciting to tell you. If you want access to the latest information of what is working in the property industry right now, how you can start in property, how you can scale in property, what strategies you need to be using and which ones you should be avoiding, then in the description there's a link to a free report that you can download right now and access the information that you need to start your property investment journey. Right, now let's get back to the video.
How did you find Progressive?
Because my mum was in it. Because
How
my
did
mum.
she find Progressive?
Well, I'm not sure actually, I can ask her, but I think she had a couple of people who had gone on it before, so it's kind of like friends of friends, and beforehand she was following Rob Moore as well, and then decided to go on the academy and do kind of a bunch of courses, and then said, Jen, I think you're really going to like this, which is deal packaging, so I went on it.
Got you.
But yeah.
So like, and I guess it's good as, because a lot of people come to Progressive and they're almost taking a leap of faith because they've never seen anybody here before. They don't know anyone who's been there before, and they're thinking, does this training actually work? Is it possible for me, etc. So I guess from your point of view, you had your mum who was already doing the trainings, already could see that it was valuable and worked.
Yeah.
So I guess it was quite easy for you to then sort of go, well, if my mum is telling me I should do something. You're very lucky, by the way. Most people's parents are saying to them, don't do it. Get a good job, get a good education.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have her, especially the fact that I can go back to her and talk to her about things. So if I've got property, she's very good at the refurbs because obviously she was originally in residential to commercial for the nurseries. So she'd get residential properties and turn them into commercial properties. So now she's kind of like switched it around from residential to commercial to residential, but she knows a lot about refurbs and stuff and doing up properties. Yeah. So in that aspect, I'm very lucky that I do have her because I can come to her and say, Mum, I've got this deal, what do you think, kind of thing. I've done the numbers, she checks over it for me.
Oh, cool. So, and you've literally came here and did the deal packaging training, how many weeks ago?
About 3-4 weeks ago.
3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then you've gone out. Have you found anything in the last few weeks?
Yes, I've got 2 offers accepted on 2 buy-to-lets or buy-to-flips. I think we're definitely going to go buy-to-flips with them, sell them off as buy-to-flips. However, they can be buy-to-lets because they're in great areas in Bedford, like really prime areas. But both of them 22% BMV and 21% BMV, and then we're also looking at HMO, which is also, it's I think top 100 roads to live in the UK, and one of them's in Bedford. It's Castle Road. It's a brilliant HMO, so I'm going to check that over with Katie upstairs. That's what I came here with my intention to do, but I've got 2 in the pipelines right now, so I'm going to submit them to the joint venture. But yeah, I've become quite friendly with one of the agents, so he's sending me all these deals and saying, well, actually we were reviewing one of the ones, which I decided, this could be great to package, and he said, look, I've got 2 more for you, so come view them with me. So we viewed them like 2 days later, and then we got both of those as well.
What sort of tips would you give people for building relationships with agents? Because I know a lot of people that come into property and they'll say, oh, well, I can't get agents to work with me, agents don't want to know me, I can't prove myself, I'm new, how do I start? So I guess you're 3 weeks in, you're young, you've walked into an estate agent, you've got, in a lot of people's heads, a few things against you. One is age, because you're just young, will they take me serious? Number 2 is, I've got no experience whatsoever, how are they going to take me serious? So I guess what tips would you give people listening who are thinking, how can I build relationships with estate agents?
I think confidence is key. Confidence is definitely key in talking to people skills. You don't necessarily have to have the best people skills in the world, but if you have confidence in yourself, because you can sit there and say, I may be new to property, but I'm going to do this, I've got this, and you kind of like, because once you go in, it reflects, if you get me. Be confident in yourself. So don't go in with a bunch of doubts and kind of like really nervous. You present yourself, you're selling yourself. I can do this for you, I can work deals with you, you know, I can work with you.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because a lot of people do, they walk into an estate agent for the first time ever and they go in and they panic and they go, and they don't know what to say. And it's believe in yourself, because actually once you've done a training, once you've educated yourself, you know more than 99% of people. You know more than the estate agents. You actually know more than the agent themselves. They're not professional property investors, remember. They are just people selling houses. So you need to start to believe in yourself. If you're listening to this, anybody that wants to build a property business, it must first start with belief in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody is going to believe in you. So really, really important advice there for everybody who's listening in. What tips would you give to somebody who was looking to get started in terms of thinking, you know, they're sitting at home right now, they're watching this, they're listening to this, and they're thinking, I'd like to get going, I'd like to make a start in property. What sort of advice would you give them?
I think a lot of people see starting something new as quite a big task. Like, I want to get into this, but I don't know where to start. And the thing is, if you sit there wondering, oh, where am I going to start? Don't, just go out and do it. You know, find something you like, go and do it. So I'd say it's just getting started, because getting started is kind of like the biggest hit, because you're just like, well, I don't know if it's going to work, I don't know if I'm going to be good at it. Well, you won't know unless you try, so you've got to just get out and do it.
There's a saying, motion creates momentum.
Yes, exactly.
So once you've got these deals done and sold, I guess if anybody's listening to this too, this is fresh and new, you could reach out and see if these deals could work for you. So if anybody did want to get in touch with you, contact you, how could they?
So I have my Instagram, and then I've also got Facebook and LinkedIn. However, you can reach us through Davidson Roberts Properties Limited, and my name's just Jennifer.
Right, Davidson Roberts Property Limited.
Yeah.
And what's your Instagram?
It's Jennifer DR_properties.
So Jennifer DR_properties.
Yes.
Okay, so reach out if you want to follow Jennifer, reach out if you want to maybe get a deal off Jennifer in and around Bedford, Cambridgeshire. What's next for you? So I guess you mentioned your 70-20-10, and you've got trading, you've got deal packaging. What's the long-term vision? So I guess where is Jennifer going over the next 5 to 10 years?
See, after I set up deal packaging and get it to kind of like run behind closed doors, so then when that reaches kind of like my 70, I've done all my work on it, I'm hoping to move on to commercial and then super commercial. Right. Because I mean, that's what makes you the big money, right? So it's quite a risk, but I feel like I like high risk stuff. Right. Like I like the...
Yeah, a lot of people say to me they want the reward. There'll be people watching this going, oh, I really want the reward, I want the money. But reward doesn't come without risk. It's balanced risk and reward. And I always say to people, getting up out of bed in the morning is risky because you could fall down the stairs. But it's about managing and controlling that risk. Yeah. So your mum at the moment obviously is looking at commercial property, doing commercial to residential. Yeah. How is she managing the risk? How's she protecting herself in looking at those types of big deals?
I mean, she's doing well. This is quite a big risk for her, because obviously although she does have properties, so she can, you know, the monopoly, she can kind of like turn them on red, if you get me. Yeah. So that's how she kind of like says it, but she's got backup to do it, because she's got a background in property, she's got property to lean on. So if one fails, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, you'll be losing a lot of money, but she's very experienced in what she does, and this is new to her, because obviously she's never really dealt with commercial property, only residential, flipping them to commercial. But she's got all her plans set out, and she's got what she's doing, and I honestly don't think she could fail. I think obviously everybody does fail at some points, but with her on this specific risk, I think she knows so much, it's just the next risk up. But because she's had so much risk here, she's kind of like built up to this one, so it doesn't seem so bad, because other people would look at the kind of like the risk factors of doing this deal and think, yeah, there's so much money to be lost in there. But again, she's built up, so she can afford to take big risks like that, especially with her knowledge in the property industry.
Already. So obviously any deal, whether it be, I always say about commercial property is, if you're doing a buy to let, a single let buy to let is a small buy, refurbish, rent, refinance, or buy, refurbish, rent, sell. And then a HMO is a little bit bigger, buy, refurbish, rent, refinance, or buy, refurbish, rent, sell. And then a commercial property is actually just some single lets or HMOs inside a bigger box, a bigger buy, refurbish, rent, refinance. And in anything, there's stuff to be lost and stuff to be won. But if you do it alone, if you do it without understanding what you're doing, if you don't understand planning, if you don't understand the process through planning and design and everything that comes with a commercial conversion project, then you will be on the loss side rather than the win side. One of the great things about commercial for me is you hire a building contractor to deliver the project for a set price with penalties. While typically when you're doing the small little refurb of a terraced house, you're hiring the one-man band painter, decorator, plumber who might not show up for work or might show up for work. So bigger projects can sometimes be safer when you understand what you're doing. Now, that's your mum, obviously. She's not here today, you are, and you're doing deal packaging. So for people that are listening in, what is deal packaging? So a lot of people think it's just sourcing a house, but obviously sourcing is to find a deal. Now, I could find a deal and keep it myself. So what's the difference between sourcing and packaging?
See, packaging, you can package the whole thing. See, we're lucky to have quite a good refurb team that's worked with us over the past, 17 years.
Yeah.
So they're very trustworthy, and we've got a couple of them. But they can work on our houses, so we can not only package the deals that we find to investors, but also package the refurb team and say, we've got a really good refurb team, and we'll manage the whole thing for you. It's completely stress-free for the investor, and it will cost them, another fee of like 2-3K.
So basically it's like the investor is an armchair investor.
Yeah, so they get to sit back and relax, but in the grand scheme of things, a couple thousand in commission is nothing compared to the stress they get if they were having to deal with all the refurb teams and different things of all their different investments,
So I guess it's for somebody who is busy in a job, maybe in another part of the country, and rather than having to drive across the country to do a viewing and drive home and do another one and drive home and do another one, you literally go out there and you'll find the property for them. Yeah. You'll then negotiate the purchase for them. Yeah. And then you'll build relationships with the agents. You'll get builder quotes. And you would get the builders in, do the refurbishment, and they pay you a fee for doing all of that work. Yeah. So basically, there's sourcing, but then there's packaging the whole deal. And that's what I was trying to say before, really. You're packaging the whole thing for them. So you pass it over to them and the solicitors, etc. You can also package solicitors. But you can package everything for them, send it off, and they don't have to do anything but sign, pay the money, and so they've got their investment. From you finding the deal to handing the keys, at the end, I guess, even to a letting agent, so they didn't even need to get the keys. They just get the income. Yeah. Wow, okay. So it works well for them and it works well for me. So. Absolutely. So, Jennifer, really appreciate you coming in and sharing some of your thoughts with us. Yeah, what we'll do as you scale your business, I think you're going to be in property for years, so we'll get you back on the podcast at some point in the future to find out what you're up to and if you do get onto those commercial conversion projects later on. So thank you for coming in and sharing your journey. Keep an eye out for Jennifer Roberts. She is going to be doing some big things in property. Reach out to her as well on Instagram, drop her a message, look for her company again online if you want to check her out and follow her. Really looking forward to watching your journey and seeing how you fly in property. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us. Thank you, it's great being here. You've been listening to the Progressive Property Podcast. Remember, we're on iTunes and Stitcher. We're out every single Tuesday. Make sure you've subscribed so you don't miss future episodes. I've been Kevin McDonald. She's been Jennifer Roberts. You've been